Are you ready, Mr. Salie? Okay. You hold 2 degrees from the University of the Western Cape, a BA and a BA, well, a BA and an LLB.
Indeed, Deputy Chief Justice.
Which
It's
was,
a BA law degree and then, of course, the LLB degree.
oh, I see. Well, your application form doesn't say that. It just says BA. Followed by a 2-year term serving articles of clerkship,
Yes, Deputy Chief Justice.
and then you became an attorney.
I served as an attorney for approximately, I think, 13 years, Chief Deputy Chief.
And then you joined the bar, the Cape Bar.
In 1999, Deputy Chief Justice, I joined the Cape Bar.
And that's where you've been until now.
Ever since.
All right. When did you start acting at the Cape High Court?
I sat half term in 2017, 2 terms in 2020, and 1 full term in 2021.
You have not acted this year.
No, Deputy Chief Justice.
All right. How many judgments did you manage to produce during those acting stints?
Deputy Chief Justice, I didn't count them, but there were a number of these judgments of written in
An
trials.
estimate is fine.
Thank you.
You said 12.
No, I said many, but I can't recall how
Oh.
many I'd handed down.
Not even a ballpark figure.
It could be in the region of 20 judgments, Deputy Chief Justice.
And have any of them been reported?
Deputy Chief Justice, I know many have been slotted into Salie, but I didn't take it per se to have it reported. I could have, especially with the ones that I quoted, the marine inquiry matter, the inheritance matter, the will testament matter, but I didn't think of reporting them. Yeah.
You mean you did not mark them reportable?
No.
Oh, okay.
I should have, Deputy Chief Justice, but once you have a matter and the allocation is there, you start working on the other matter and you're preoccupied with your role. So, yeah, I should have in hindsight.
Well, the publishers have a knack for finding reportable judgments, even if you have not marked them. So,
I take note.
yeah, if you'd written one that's reportable, they probably would have found it.
Yes.
On average, how long did it take you to produce a judgment after the hearing of a matter?
Deputy Chief Justice, I promptly work on my judgments all the time. I'm a hard worker. I would have gone in, if the need had arisen, to go in weekends. And I didn't delay with judgments because as a practitioner, I know the outcome is important to the parties. And I think the best and the longest I think I took was about 2 months to hand down judgments.
Okay. What is the JHES, the Janjira, that society, and what does it do?
JHES S1.
Yes.
Deputy Chief Justice, that's a community-based organization that serves humanity in essence. It alleviates, the aims are to alleviate poverty, to assist with needy students, to grant bursaries to them, and that's across the color line. It's not only confined to a specific group. I am heading that society for the past probably 10 years with eminent members of a society. Women are involved in that society. You'd have noticed that there are orphanage committees, There are destitute committees, school, we uplift. We're looking at a multitude of prescripts that we alleviate. If that's in a nutshell, there are monthly meetings. There's obviously also a trust involved. I'm not a trustee of that society, which owns property where there's an income. But by and large, it's a community-based organization, Deputy Chief Justice.
Okay. You are competing with 3 women for this vacancy.
I know.
And you know what...
I know.
Why should we appoint a man? And,
can somebody pour
not
some
one
water
of
for
them.
me, Deputy Chief Justice, before I answer that question?
well,
Deputy Chief
I
Justice.
see that one of the many people who've written testimonials for you have done a blow-by-blow, memo on why you are better than each of these women. But I want to I don't know if you align yourself with what she says.
I don't consider myself better than anybody else, Deputy Chief Justice. My application, I believe, should be premised and adjudicated within the esteemed group and commission sitting here on merit, taking into account the transformation imperatives that I embarked upon all my years as a practitioner. Just to answer your question then, I bring about a wealth of experience, practical experience, and that to the bench, no doubt, will be an advantage. The second issue is that I punted women, and this commission would know, to the bench, and I'm heartened to say that many of the nominees that I punted in my personal capacity, not whilst I served on the CBC, on my own, had been appointed to the bench. And thirdly, Deputy Chief Justice, if I look at the GCB's comments, for example, there's a ratio now, and I'm heartened by that fact too, that there are 13 women and 12 men serving the Cape High Court. So the women are on a stronger leg. So in short, I'm of the view that I can bring about the wealth of experience, and if one looks at the constitutional imperative, the bench must reflect gender and the background and racial components of the past. And if I look at the GCB's comments too, there's only one Indian male person on the bench. If you were to appoint and consider me above the women, I'll probably be the second one that will represent the community at large. That's in short. I can elaborate, but I hope I answered your question, Deputy Chief Justice.
No, you have, thanks. I'm just thinking that that court has come far if the women are in the majority now, because when I acted there many years ago, Judge Jeanette Traverso was the only woman in a sea of men. But that still does not absolve us of making sure that women who are in the majority, after all, do get their rightful place under the sun, if it means all the judges in that division must be women. No, maybe I'm taking it too far, I'm just pulling your leg. You were interviewed by this body exactly a year ago, and you did not make the cut. What would you say to us in addition to what you've already said to make sure that this time things go your way?
Yeah.
What magic, what have you done that has enhanced your CV such that we are suitably impressed by your candidature?
Deputy Chief Justice, since the last interview, I've looked at the script and et cetera, et cetera. I remain steadfast to my principles, advancing human rights, dignity, equality, freedom. If you have noticed the beg your pardon, the Swanepoel judgment against the minister, where, for example, a woman had been sexually assaulted. We took that matter on. Woman was my junior counsel. The attorney was was a woman. The second attorney was a woman. So I preserve what I've done up to now, and again I leave it in the hands of this eminent commission to consider whether I am the right person above women. I've given my reasons why I said that the bench will not be impoverished if you were to consider me.
Okay. Well, this is a question that was put to you last time. You are no relation to Judge Salie, are you?
Deputy Chief Justice, the Salie surname is quite prominent in the Western Cape. In the north of our country, this spelling is S-A-L-E-H. In the Western Cape, it comes from S-A-L-I-E. In short, there is no relationship between myself and Judge Salie Shlope. Safe to state that I met her at the sidebar. Then I was a senior attorney, and she started off. And other than that, I have no relationship whatsoever or nexus with Judge Salie Shlope.
Thank you, Mr. Salie.
Thank you, Deputy Chief Justice.
Judge President Shlope, do you have questions for this candidate?
Thank you very much, Deputy Chief Justice. Mr. Salie, just one question. It relates to reported judgments. We as judges, and I'm sure there is no exception, we like to have our judgments reported because they develop the law, and if a judgment develops the law, it is important to have it reported. Now, you gave an answer, and your answer was you moved on to the next work that was allocated to you. Did you not think about getting your judgments reported? If at all they develop the law, because a judgment will not be reported if it just restates the facts and there is no new law.
Yeah. Judge President, you're absolutely correct. For example, the Swanepoel matter, I'm of the view it should have been, and I should have put it up, because that developed the law to the extent that a child was raped. There is the local parentis relation between the deputy principal of a school and the education department. And I got calls from the north because the education department resisted that claim up to the end. And I'm of the view, perhaps that I should have applied my mind to report that judgment too.
Thank you, Deputy Chief Justice. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Oh, my mic was off. Mr. Boshoff?
Thank you, Deputy Chief Justice. I'm just, there we go. Thank you, Deputy Chief Justice. Just before we start, just a declaration. I know Advocate Salie SC from a past life. As an attorney, I briefed him at times, and as a member of the bar, we were both members of the same suite of chambers. But so I just wanted to just declare that.
No, thanks for that disclosure.
Sorry, Commissioner, which chambers? I didn't get that.
No, we shared a suite of chambers when I was still at the bar.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you dispute that, Mr. Salie?
I can't.
You seem unsure.
There's many years ago. Oh, yes, no.
Okay.
I'm very forgettable. It's fine.
I recognize the face now, Commissioner. You're absolutely right. Gosh, I've got old, or you've become younger. I don't know.
Yeah.
Any questions for the candidates, Mr. Boshoff?
Yes. Well, Advocate Salie, there's a comment made by Nadal in the bundle in the bundle accompanying your application, and I just want to read it to you, and I would just like to hear your response to it because the comment is there. Being 64 years of age, we believe that he is too senior in age for appointment to the bench and would be more valuable as a mentor to younger and incoming professionals. Yeah, I would just like to hear your response to that.
Commissioner, perhaps I should respond. There are two issues to my response. One is age, of course, brings about experience. I've known the founding father, one of the founding fathers of Nadal. I'm not going to, I can script it down, Deputy Chief Justice, and forward the name to you, who was appointed at the age of either 63 or 64. That's the first response. The second one is, in addition to that, I think this commission, eminent commission, appointed a member of the Cape Bar, again, I shall not disclose the name, I think when he was 63 or 64, as of last year or the year before. So I don't think an age, if the criticism had come, you're 67, 68, then I could understand, because you work up to another 7 years to become 75. The second response is that I think I've got close to 11 years left in my life to make a contribution to the bench, and perhaps to reportable judgments, as JP has stated. I hope
yes, well,
I
hopefully
answered.
not just your life, but to the bench at least.
On the bench.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. I think.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. Then just a second question that I've asked all the candidates. It's a technical question. Could you please give the Commission your understanding of the appealability of interim orders and what test or consideration you would apply in considering whether or not an interim order is in fact appealable?
Commissioner, immediately comes to mind Section 18 of the Superior Court Act, I think 18.2. I'm of the view, and again, I speak of practice, if it's an interim order, you're going to be blasted by a judge while you're appealing the order. It's an interim, as it states, interim in nature, unless you want to bring that interim order as a matter of course to bring to fruition, to implement it in terms of 18.3. But then there are strict criteria. For example, irreparable harm to the applicant and no irreparable harm to the respondent. And, of course, the test for prejudice. But by and large, the answer would be no. It would not be appealable.
All right.
I hope I answered that question.
Yeah, there's just a follow-on to that, which I've also asked all the candidates, is whether or not you are then familiar with a fairly recent Constitutional Court judgment of UDM v. Lebashe Investment Group, which dealt with the test to apply in respect of the appealability of interim orders.
No, I haven't read. I didn't read that judgment yet, Commissioner.
All right. No, that's it for me.
If I've read it, I would tell you what. But by and large, it seems to me that it's not appealable in terms of my practical experience and pursuant to the provisions of Section 18.2 of the Superior Court Act.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions, DCJ, and thank you for your time, Advocate Salie.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Commissioner, Professor?
Thank you very much, DCJ. Good evening.
Good evening, Professor.
I'm always fascinated when I hear particularly experienced practitioners, when they speak about human rights and how passionate they are with human rights generally. In South Africa, there is one sort of, and I think also it qualifies to be a human right of some sort, which I think has been neglected. The assistance of black practitioners, especially females, at various bars, for them to be able to get the opportunities that white men in particular and other black men also find, where they are able to, at an early age, and I'm talking about white men and some of the black men, at an early age, they are able to be dragged as juniors to the Supreme Court of Appeal, to the High Court, to the Constitutional Court. They are exposed to opportunities. But we see that there is a constant struggle in relation to black women generally, but black women in particular, that when they have to come and compete for positions like this, most of them cannot rise and say, I have all the experience in the world that makes me stand out. I just want to ask you, in your practice, what have you done, if at all, to ensure that you assist black women in particular in the matters that you have actually been briefed on? And I'm not only saying you guiding them or training them or whatever. I'm talking about getting a junior, relying on your junior to ensure that you can actually trust the junior to do the work and you guide strategically the litigation. What is it that you have done in that regard to solve what I think is a human rights issue in South Africa?
Professor, you are absolutely correct. It is a human rights issue because women in the past had been discriminated against. There's no doubt, particularly black women. It is so. Now, as I'm sitting here, Professor, be rest assured, in advancing the basic tenets of dignity, equality, and empowerment, I have handpicked, I have sourced them, and to the extent that I even paid to the George High Court, I would pay their air tickets and hotel expenses. You would have noticed S versus Parker, the VAT fraud matter, which I dealt with before 5 judges in the SCA, where, for example, the NPA decided to prosecute, and where the person pleaded guilty to fraud, and 113 was applied. I went back to the match court, I applied for 113, I got it, I got leave to appeal. It went to the, before JP's jurisdiction, from there to the SCA. We got leave. In fact, the NPA got leave because we won before the 2 judges on appeal. There I took a black male. I'm not talking about a female, but I took a black male. I paid his expenses. And it wasn't, I need not tell you this, really. I mean, what my right hand does, I don't want my left hand. But the question has been posed, and I want to let you know that I have done it in the past. Paid the expenses, air tickets, accommodation. I was just fortunate that I won on a point of law and I recovered all this cost. So yes, to answer you, there's not only this woman or this male, generally, they would walk into my practice, last recent 2 weeks. They walk in, particularly an issue was discussed in court between this black female and the judge, and I gave her advice. I sat with her an hour. It's not only getting and tagging them around and appear in court and later say, I've appeared. There are other issues how you can empower black women. And I can assure you, I say it with fear of, any fear of contradiction, with an open heart that I have done my level best as I'm sitting here up to now, Professor.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, DCJ.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Nyambi?
Thank you, DCJ. Evening, Advocate Salie SC.
Yes. Good evening, Commissioner.
I'll just ask one question. I'm happy already we have touched what you have done since the last time you were interviewed up to now. Mine is in relation to the last interview. probably now, if you can look back, I think you've done your homework fairly well about the last interview.
I hope I did, Commissioner.
Yes. Anything that you think you might not have done yourself some good justice in terms of responses then that you might want to do some different reflection about it?
Yes. Deputy Chief Justice, there was an issue raised that I became annoyed, and that you probably referring to that, and openly and frankly, I'm raising this, because as in courts, we raise this issue up front. So, yes, I raised the issue last time, and I said, I made the point that in the absence of factual basis, like when women and men apply for silk, there's an opportunity been given, there's an adverse comment, please respond to that cogently, rationally, and reasonably in the circumstances. And that wasn't done, but I took to heart. Upon deep introspection, I can assure you, since then, I'm even concerned to raise a frown for that matter. So yeah, I'm here, and although it's not been raised by the GCB in the current application, I'm heartened by that point. They are of the view that I'm suitable, and it seems to me that given at the end they say, having served humanity, it should get some recognition. But that's in the eminent decision of yourself. I hope I answered the question, Commissioner.
Even though I was not referring specifically to that, but to the entire interview. You remember Commissioner Todovu asking you about issues of transformation? Yes,
I recall that.
You think you have done yourself?
Yes, Commissioner, I've got a revolving door, and all the black practitioners know that, and disadvantaged ones know that. They can come in anytime. If there are disciplinary issues, I've headed the bar's disciplinary portfolio many years. I've written an abundance of reports on ethics, clearing certain, and I'm talking about eminent members of the bar, and they come in with no problem. If I'm sitting with the matter, I'll put it one side, because I know I can rise 2 o'clock in the morning and draft heads of argument. So that practitioner who comes in there, the disadvantaged one, they are close to us. We must empower them. We must make the contribution to empower them so they can become the 27th, 28th, 29th member on the bench of the Western Cape High Court. I hope I answered you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Advocate Salie.
Thank
you,
you.
DCJ.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioners Breitenbach and Bernard, do you have questions?
Nothing from me, DCJ.
Well, I'll take Commissioner Breitenbach's silence to mean no. Mr. Salie, we don't have any more questions for you. This is the end of your interview. Thank you so much for joining us this
I can only thank you, Deputy Chief Justice, and all justices and presidents and all commissioners for having granted me this opportunity. And I'm not going to waste another breath here, because I would catch my flight. I've just been heard that boarding pass has been given to me. I hope I'm not going to miss it. Thank you so much, each and everyone, for their contributions here.
Well, safe trip back to Cape Town.
Thank you.